Hello ladies and gents, I am Tiffin, and welcome back to From the Depths Ashes of the Empire Community Edition. In this episode, we are actually going directly into the campaign. I'm not going to be adding in any new designs because I'm very close to completion of this actual campaign. The Onyx Watch base is here, the Lightning Hoods is over here, and the Steel Empire is over in this corner here. I think it's in one of these four tiles, if I remember correctly. Probably in this one over here. Which means that I could win this quite easily. And the number of vehicles I have left, I still have around about 70 odd designs left in the blueprints folder. And if I just add these in one at a time, or 5 at a time, which I've been doing recently, I just won't be able to get all of the designs showcased. So my plan is to give all these designs in these current forces another chance to fight in today's episode. Then next episode I'm going to basically scrap everything and create several new forces, or create a new force out of completely new designs for an episode. And I'm not too sure of the format, but I might do that a couple of times. Just build up a singular new force of 20 odd units added in that single episode, go take it out on a spin against a couple of battles, clear out a couple of tiles, and then go from there. So, without further ado, let us carry on in this one. But to start with, we've just got some lightning hoods to kill, and haven't shown off this for a while, so let's actually just showcase this battle over here. So I need to jump over here and just see how very quickly this actually defeats the battle. Okay, so let's begin the battle here. It is going, I might as well do live commentary on this. It's not exactly that it takes particularly long for the battles to complete, even at real speed. So all the lasers just completely murdering everything very, very, very quickly. You can see there it's churning blocks of beams and everything off, and it's already, is it AI dead or 2 damaged? I can't tell. I know it's actually 2 damaged. That one's AI dead. This one is getting blasted. This is a bit of a problem though. The AI always love to go around the side here, and if they get too far, I end up shooting himself. But there we go. 2 damaged, 2 damaged. Damaged. Oh, and this one, oh, it's alive, but for how much longer? So the lasers take like a few seconds to kill their target, and you aren't dead either. Wow. Oh, you have got smoke. They are shooting you through deployed smoke. No wonder it's taking like a few seconds for things to get destroyed. But even so, the penetration is doing it very nicely there, and the enemy is 2 damaged as well. So I think that's basically it. Yep. You're only ignoring salvage. Whatever. Yeah, it doesn't take particularly long for that battle to occur. Regardless, let's carry on with the rest of the forces. So this force is actually quite heavily damaged. I'm going to retreat them back a little bit. What do I want? You see, I have a nasty feeling that if I attack this force, I might end up attacking the HQ as well. Though if that happens, it happens. So let's just take on this force here. We have all our forces deployed in quite a loose array. That should help it keep it safe from the initial cram bombardment, or at least I hope it will. The enemy don't seem particularly tough though. They do have a lot of side guns, so having spread out formation like this could prove to be detrimental to me, but we shall see. I don't know if it's going to be too detrimental, but that initial bombardment from all those flying Onyx Watch, or jumping Onyx Watch craft, is a little bit daunting. And the hits do strike straight into the Deadifier there, blasting off blocks all over the place. So it does seem that the cannons do seem to absorb the majority of it. The Deadifier though responds in kind with its cram cannons, but they overshoot since it was firing at them while in the air. The rest of the tram cannons are being launched all over the place, and, well, not much seems to have happened. The laser there is firing over and coring through the various blocks, and there are a number of designs which have taken a lot of damage, and unfortunately didn't really see what actually caused that damage to occur, since I was observing where the majority of the cram hits were going. Though it seems that some of the smaller crams did actually the main damage there. Still, the majority of the enemy cram have been quite heavily damaged, and the Deadifier there is just taking the remaining hits and just repairing what damage it is receiving very rapidly with all of those repair tentacles. There's explosions essentially being launched around with Gravram, and also just explosions flicking around the enemy tanks and just causing them to lose all their blocks, as their main turrets have now been destroyed, leaving just the broadside cannons, which are not really being able to focus and aim in the correct directions, making the rest of the Onyx Watch a fairly trivial pursuit to destroy, though still taking a little while, giving us plenty of opportunity to kill our own vehicles, though also watching them fly around and dance about. Despite this force being incredibly tough and being able to cope very well against the Onyx Watch previously, end up losing the Sturmgeschütz and the assault gun chassis. Looks like everything else though did survive, particularly the two-part tanks survived there, and yeah, the big designs did tank a lot, so it is to be expected, and they'll be able to keep on going for quite a while, I reckon. Oh, what are we fighting? Ah! A battle with the Steel Empire. Whoops, it looks like I kind of misspawned these two designs. Ooh dear. Oh dear, they're gonna have a bit of a collision there. Anything else looks like it's a little bit close. Oh, they're a bit close as well. We'll need to make sure of that in the future. Okay. Well, hopefully these two won't explode too violently. And what are we facing? Oh, we are facing a nuke. So, yeah, there could be plenty of explosions. Well, let's observe this one, see how much damage is caused here then. So I'm a bit concerned initially by the design there, as it does kind of make the hover fling around, but it doesn't cause much damage. The wheels are in the correct location. The Polaris though does, well, it detonates itself, and so that isn't any sort of threat. I don't really notice too much APS fire. It's just a very large bombardment of missiles going through towards, well, some Chardon's design at the back there. Obviously probably because it has a very large number of cannons, which, well, makes it a high threat. Then I realise what all the APS is firing at. All of it is being fired at the poor Warthog, and its improvement on those shields is acting wonderfully. It is absorbing so many hits. Even the particle accelerator shots there seem to just skim off them. It misses, but yeah, they're taking an absolutely huge amount of bombardment. Of course, it is taking a lot of damage, and the Scorpion there does seem to have been disabled and been hit, probably by shots which were originally aimed for the Warthog, though it doesn't seem to be getting up into the sky. Fortunately for me though, all that firepower being dedicated against Warthog has allowed the rest of our forces to get in range and causing absolutely extreme amounts of damage. And there's just tracers, a few lasers, missiles all over the place, just scattering around with fragmentations, particle accelerators, all sorts, just again flinging around across all their targets. And again, still, the enemy, the Steel Empire, seem to be very focused more on the Warthog and not against the much more pressing threats nearby, since the Warthog has been pretty much disabled at this point. Its main gun has been pretty much disabled, allowing the rest of the fleet to aim and completely annihilate the Steel Empire forces with impunity. Watching the last couple now disintegrate and just take a few hits. Even some of the actual particle accelerators they're firing and just or firing beams out of broken pipes there as well, which is always interesting. Still, it hasn't taken long for the rest of the Steel Empire forces to disintegrate into extra resources. Okay, well that battle went decently well. Didn't actually happen as quickly as I was expecting, but the vehicles did well. Scorpion was on the ground a lot of the time. Doesn't seem to like flying up particularly well. There we go. Ah, okay, there is the HQ. Okay, the Onyx Watch Force is ready to go again. Doesn't seem to be able to get a break at the moment. That's fine. Don't mind increasing my material cap a bit further. It's doing very well at the moment, the amount of materials I have. And that is definitely going to lend itself well for continued projects against the enemy and being able to spawn lots and lots of designs at once, which is something I would really like to be able to do. So our vehicles are nicely spread out all over the place, and they've essentially just got a big lineup of lots of tanks which are going to go flying into the sky as soon as I unpause. This seems to be a very common feature, particularly in this white landscape. The Onyx Watchers seem to all get launched directly up into the sky as soon as the spawning occurs. And so, yep, straight away they all get spawned up, and they are all pretty much firing against one or two vehicles, as per usual. You can see the Deadifier firing its big array of cram cannons, which do actually strike, and you can see it took out the entire corner of the enemy there. I think that is the Bison. So it causes a huge amount of damage. In retaliation, it is struck there with multiple strikes, and there seems to be a big internal detonation. I noticed that its health is very, very low. It must have had an internal explosion. As you can see there, over half of the internals have been detonated there, which is a shame, but its repair capability is keeping that cannon in the game and not allowing it to despawn, even though its health was pretty low. Again, a few more cram cannons being fired in all sorts of directions from the enemy forces, and it's just really watching the various other cannons from our forces doing a lot of damage because, well, none have been damaged. Laser now firing into the base of the target there, and it is very, very effective. And I just suddenly realised, oh, it's actually been caught. Let's just jump out, because I'm right next to it, and capture it almost immediately, which was just a nice little bonus. Wasn't aiming to catch anything in this episode, so yeah, nice bonus really. And finally, the last couple of designs just being annihilated by the remaining forces. Lots and lots of firepower to eliminate the heavy armour and metal designs there. Well, there we go. Managed to capture an onager, but basically purely by chance. Oh, the metal mauler was getting close to destruction, but eventually did survive okay. Let's get everything repaired though. Right, so this Twin Guard force is at last ready to go into combat. Interesting enough, looks like we're going to be point blank range with a lot of our forces, which is going to be interesting. Let's just finalise the order and then get into the battle. Oop, forgot to spawn all the land in. Oh, no matter. Let's just go into the battle. Shouldn't take too long with this one. No, it definitely does not take too long, particularly with the fact that the enemy did spawn incorrectly. So one of the mechs has been completely obliterated. Another one there was launched up into the sky a little bit, but didn't internally explode itself. Still, it means that there is only the one mech remaining, and it's taking the entire brunt of the whole initial barrage there. And yeah, it is not going to be long until it is destroyed. And there we go, took a massive hit as the base plate was destroyed, leaving only the top part remaining. It is, though, repairing the other components, making them so they're not going to despawn, which is highly irritating. The next mech, though, is also taking a large hit. It's had its AI disabled, and the rest of our forces are just bombarding it, and they're all destroyed and just having to wait that extended period for them to despawn. But it's not taking that long. Well, that was a very quick battle. Wyvern did take a bit of damage, but I suppose it did kind of spawn some of the stuff in a little bit of an odd location. Aha, so we've got another fight with the Steel Empire over here. Oh, it looks like a couple of vehicles didn't get repaired in time, or didn't order them to get repaired. Shouldn't be too much of a problem. This isn't exactly the strongest force I'm facing off against. There's a Relentless, Scarab, and a Hexer, or a Polaris. I suppose there is potential for this force to deal damage, though I don't think it will. I think it will be quite a simple battle in itself. Yeah, potential. The various forces can do a lot of damage, particularly like the Hexer if it hits with the right place, with its grav ram. And yeah, a massive elite there does tons of damage. You see its cram cannons initially hit straight away, doing a lot of damage. And then I suddenly realised that the Polaris has launched successfully. So, just pretty much ignoring the rest of the hits and just seeing where on earth this nuke is going to go. And it detonates against the tank there. One thing I noticed though, it didn't eject. It didn't seem to eject its weapon systems, all of those shells. And I have noticed that a couple of times. It doesn't always want to eject its munitions. Because if it did eject those munitions, I'm sure that tank would have been completely annihilated. Whereas, as it is, yes, it was heavily damaged, but it's in the middle of my fleet. It's going to get repaired up, no problem. And with that, the enemy elite tanks just get completely destroyed. Since, yeah, the firepower just wasn't enough to take out much of my forces, even though it did strike very well to start with. It just weren't able to maintain the momentum and cause any major significant damage. The same with the Hexer here. It's had its wheels damaged, so it just can't aim at my forces to grav ram them into oblivion. And by the time it turns around, it's too late, and it is already destroyed. And so we're going to move on to the next battle shortly. Well, yes, that battle I did win, but took a lot more damage than I was anticipating, actually. Actually close to losing a couple of designs, so they did eventually pull through and get themselves back in the fight, so it wasn't all too bad. Let's head over. Let's send a resource gatherer over to this location as well. Let's quickly tidy up some of these twin guard forces. So 3 drones and a single mech. Not like it's going to be a particularly hard battle. No, I'm not expecting this to take that long at all. Though it's interesting to see all the drones firing, and yeah, but it's essentially, you see the lasers. So you've got the pale blue laser from the laser hover and the purple laser from the laser heli, and they're doing a lot of damage, coupled with the fact that there is the flak cannon there as well, which just fired, and you see took out the whole rear section, making that poor little drone fall out the sky and make it too damaged. The next one is also falling out the sky, and yeah, there goes the flak cannon and the lasers just firing against the mech there as well, which is trying desperately to do something to do damage, but it's not got a chance. It's got the entire combat force firing missiles, cannons, but predominantly those lasers are doing by far most damage. And a very nice attack from the Wyvern fighter there. Again, the Wyvern took a little bit of damage, but otherwise vehicles did fine. Nothing anything to worry about facing these forces, it seems. Well, it looks like it's still this twin guard force which is taking the brunt of the battles this episode. Just trying to clear out some of their territories. Still getting open resources, which is very nice. Which make things a little bit easier. Ooh, this battle has potential to be nasty because of his pre-existing warheads on the ground. Hopefully the minefield won't do too much. And our forces are again once heavily integrated with the enemy twin guard forces, so should be able to get a nice early battle. yeah, so I don't know if this is a very good idea. I was hoping that with everything nicely integrated together, it would do a lot of damage. Fortunately for me, the Twin Guard there, 2 of their mechs just get launched up and just disintegrate themselves upon spawning. Again, there seems to be something with this white snowy terrain which is just causing tons and tons of problems. The rest of the drones though are just completely mobbing the flak cannon, which this is what it was designed to face, but yeah, flak damage is actually just really weak, so I was hoping it would do a bit more damage than what it is doing, but it was also predominantly experimental. Still, the missiles and the lasers of this force are doing absolute wonders. I am glad I have been taking time to get this, all these forces kept up with fuel by having various number of logistics drones been moving back and forth, most of the time off camera, though you generally spot them moving around here and there. They just really ensure that lasers are always kept with plenty of fuel to operate, which is needed for these sorts of combats, as it just speeds everything up compared to APS or missiles.
Yes?
Oh, the Wyvern got defeated in that battle. That's a bit of a shame. Did quite well in the previous ones, but yeah, eventually it succumbed. Now logistics head up to the Twin Guard force because it really needs fuel to power its lasers. Just like that. Fantastic. And immediately all our forces replenish their fuel and are ready to go again. Right, I think I might just do these last couple of battles and be a good position to leave off there, I reckon. So first of all, we'll face off against the Onyx Watch. I'm doing a little bit of a different setup this time. So we've got all the Onyx Watch in this position here, and then I'm keeping all my forces in a fairly consolidated location there. Just try and, well, when they take damage, they should hopefully be able to repair each other. The problem is that they are going to be a bit more prone to friendly fire. We'll see how this functions. So let us begin. And straight away there is a colossal explosion on one of the vehicles, and it suddenly dawns on me that the AWR and the Benny Blade were actually spawned within each other. I did not notice that when I was spawning everything in, so unfortunately, yeah, in fact from L1 completely annihilated there down to fraction on just less than 7% already, and then the Benny Blade as well, yeah, just completely utterly annihilated in that spawning mistake. Very irritating there, but so yeah, a poor way for Benny Blade to die, but die it has done. Then just observing around what else is going on, the Deadifier is also taking a lot of hits, and it can be really seen that, you know, losing those designs from the previous battle and also the Deadifier taking the hits as per usual and the Benny Blade, this force is suddenly just taking a lot of time to kill anything. It's got a couple of the mechs there, the Limus, and yeah, it's got, you know, it has got some cram cannons, you know, a couple of lasers, but the laser there has also been struck with various weapon systems. It is not fast, it is not really designed for taking any hits, and that as well has limited its firepower. And it's getting worrying because the majority of our firepower has been eliminated. A couple of our flyers have been downed. The Onyx Watch are still firing. They've lost the main guns, but the Onyx Watch craft have plenty of side guns, and even small cram cannons can do a significant damage against our craft. Just observing here, there, everywhere, as my vehicles are just taking lots and lots of damage, and we're firing shells at completely bizarre locations. And there we go, the hover is also been disabled, and things are not looking good. It seems like we are winning now at this point, and you can see some of the Onyx Watch there being flung around by grav rams. But this was not a pretty elegant win. It was very messy. We lost a lot of stuff that took extreme amounts of damage. Thankfully our repair and our resources are pretty high, so we have been able to recover a majority from the battle, but even so, a very messy battle, and we took far more damage than we should have done with the forces we have at our disposal. So, a bit of a mistake on my part, but hopefully we'll be able to correct that in the future. Yikes, that is quite a nasty battle. We lost quite a lot there. It really goes to show how you have a critical mass of units, and as soon as you go under that, you just start losing. Of course, it didn't help that I've been rushing a little bit with this episode in terms of positioning, because of how I'm going to be utilising the next few episodes. I wasn't really paying attention as much to how I was spawning things, so we did unfortunately lose the Benny Blade because I spawned somehow managed to put on the Blinksome AT inside it, which was accidental, but didn't even notice they were on top of each other. Because if they are really properly on top of each other, they just kind of blend in with the two blueprints. If I show you with these two, see, they actually can look like they're the same vehicle. Of course, this is actually the same vehicle, so that's good. Could join these two forces together, so it would actually be a reasonable combat force, so I think I'll do that. So in order to move them quickly, let's just scrap all of them. Alright, so I've despawned all the blueprints. That means that this can now move at a speed of 500. I'm going to send it straight over there to join it with forces there. And also got a lot of resources for that, but of course those all are going to get spawned back in once they meet up with that force there. Oh, got another fight over here. I'll just skip this one though. So there's one final battle, actually the last combat force on the move it seems. So that gives me a good starting position for spawning a large force next episode. So let's get this out of the way nice and quick then. Well, it looks like there's only 2 enemies? Yep, only 2 enemies spawned, so it's going to be a nice quick battle. Yep, just 2 little enemies. So immediately our entire forces just completely, utterly bombard them with all sorts. And the lasers firing at the drone, and yeah, the ground vehicle, the mech, has already taken a big brunt of missile fire and a good number of cannons. And the drone is already flying out the sky just because it's being hit by tons and tons of lasers. And there we go, the mech has just been hit with AI dead. It had a couple of particle accelerators strike into it, and it's now just waiting for everything to despawn. So, ridiculously quick battle, but that's what I was expecting when facing only a couple of designs from a very low health tile. Excellent, that battle didn't take too long, not really much was taking his casualties. Can respawn this force. So we're doing well. We've got plenty of resources, so admittedly a load of them are being used to rebuild this force. But as soon as everything is ready to go, I'll actually spawn in a load of the other designs next couple of episodes and showcase them off before we completely stomp on the HQs, because there's not really much in the way of defences left for me to actually conquer there. But that's going to have to be the next episode, so thank you very much for watching this episode of From the Depths Ashes of the Empire Community Edition. If you did enjoy the episode, please leave a like and or comment below, as it is always great to hear from you lot. Also, be sure to check out the rest of my channel for more From the Depths videos and other videos, and also swing by the Discord channel for more direct interactive chatting. Otherwise, that's it for me for now, and I shall see you next time. But until then, I'm out. Goodbye!